Welcome back yet to another video of Ruck and Roll, and man, this was an amazing game. Fiji and Wales, one of the most action-packed games that I've watched in this World Cup. The game starts off where Wales looks good at the start, they were just quick at the breakdowns at the start, and that's what I was fearing for the Fijians, because that's the only place where I feel their game just needs a little bit of work, is around the breakdowns. They do not commit the numbers to the breakdowns. They've got kind of like an approach where at the breakdowns they just don't go and clean out all the time. Sometimes they do, but not always. And Wales gets that first turnover and it's converted into points by Dan Biggar. Not long after that, George North breaks a line. He wins a lot of field, gets tackled just before scoring. They send it out wide, and Josh Adams does a great inside step to score that first try, and suddenly you're like, hold on, whoa, okay, Wales 8-0 ahead. Dan Biggar misses the kick, which is also surprising to see him miss kicks. We see all the experienced guys feeling the pressure of the World Cup. It's not even 5 minutes later, and Naya Kalevu, it's a scrappy ball to him, but somehow he gathers the ball and he runs right through the middle in between Dan Biggar and someone else. Dan Biggar, poor tackle from him right through. He's such a big guy, such a strong guy, runs right through and scores an amazing try, and Fiji's right back in this game. Lomani converts, and we've seen it, and the whole game you can see Naya Kalevu causing huge problems for Josh North and Thompson in that midfield. He breaks again, but he gets tackled, and in the tackle offloads to Radradra. Radradra gets tackled and eventually gets that offload to Tagivalu, the number 6, and he goes through for a try, and you think, whoa, okay, Fiji is gonna be amazing today. Fiji caught offside, Dan Biggar puts through the kick, and that's the only thing. Fiji still kind of sometimes just conceding, little things where they just gotta work at the small things in their game, and they can be very, very dangerous. They were doing those little offloads where they were running, giving the little small offloads and then cutting the line. So one of the centers running a hard line and the other center playing the little offload. It worked really well. North this time getting the ball, breaking the line and scoring a great try. At this point in time, it's basically a ping pong battle between these two teams. I gotta say, if Fiji can work on two things, they can be so dangerous. The one is just a little bit more commitment in the breakdowns, and the other one is just their tackling. They were missing quite a lot of tackles in that first half. Just before the end of the half, Wales does a strangest thing. They try and run the ball from their own goal line, and we see they almost get tackled and are in trouble. And the next thing at the end of the game, the loudest screaming I've actually ever heard, I think, on a rugby field. Dan Biggar screaming at North, screaming at him, saying, get that effing ball out, because he's screaming that they have to kick it out. Now I understand that he's that upset and stuff, but it was at the end of the half. There was no need for him to go do that on a rugby field, on a big stage, in front of how many people. It's not good for your credibility and people respecting you, because if you scream like that to the rest of your players, you're a leader, it's just not a good reflection of yourself. You could have just waited, walked into the tunnel and then discussed it with the guy, or screamed at him, or do whatever you want. But you don't want the public to be seeing stuff like that. But that was just a clear reflection of the frustration that these guys were under, because Fiji was giving them a game and a half. Now, Bossy did really well to mark Louis Rees-Zammit most of the game, but unfortunately, just a little bit into the half of, just a little bit after halftime, you get Dan Biggar puts through a cross kick, and it was almost an interception by Bossy. He was going for the interception. If he caught that, it would have been totally against your flow of play. And we see Rees-Zammit can collect it, and he scores a try. It was a very scrappy try, but a try nevertheless. Tagivalu gets a yellow card. I can't even remember exactly what it was for. And not long after that, we see that Wales get a rolling maul going and they score a try. And Elliot D goes through for the try. And you kind of feel now Wales 30-14 ahead. You just start feeling, okay, now Wales have got control of this game. They should win it pretty comfortably. In the 73rd minute, you'd had Fiji, pushing on the line. They break the line, and Tuisova goes through for a try, scores an awesome try, and suddenly it is 32-19, so Fiji coming back. The ref is repeatedly warning Wales and then eventually giving Domachowski that yellow card. And now Wales is with 14 men and Fiji is pushing. They keep pushing, and eventually in the 78th minute they go through again and score another try. Masaka going through for the try. Unfortunately, the conversion is missed by Taylor. And this game was so close then. It's 26 for Fiji, 32 for Wales. And then right in the 82nd minute, Fiji again on Wales's line, and you think this could be the try. They try and send it out wide to Radradra. It bounces, and with the bounce, it bounces up into his hands, and unfortunately he knocks it. It was a tough one for Radradra. It wasn't an easy one. It wasn't a clean pass. And that is the end of the game. Gutted. 4 points in it. Gutted for Fiji. You can't, as a rugby lover, not feel gutted for the guys. If you're a Wales supporter, well done, congratulations. But, you know, from a Wales point of view, they almost let that game slip. And for Fiji, this is the one that just got away for them. Because if they had won this game, they would have probably definitely made it to that quarters. Look, this is a tough pool. You've got Georgia, you've got Australia. But I mean, beating Wales would have given them such a good shot at going through, but it was not to be. And at the end, Dan Biggar awarded as man of the match. I don't think he played outstandingly well. He missed tackles. You can see here that, you know, territory 5%, guys, of the territory. So they had almost they were constantly, you know, in the Wales half. The Wales trying to play out of their own half. They played poorly. It was just the experience of them and certain moments just getting the better of the Fijians that kept them in this game. But the Fijians were actually definitely the better side on the field if you look at the overall performance. Even possession, if you look at possession, you can see there 60% to Fiji versus 39 to Wales. Fiji were the better side on the day. Again, yeah, meters carried, 635 versus 396. More meters carried, almost double the amount of runs that Fiji made. And that's the thing. They're really, really good at running with the ball. But they're constantly trying to offload from every single tackle because they don't have the forwards to go in for the tackle and then just clean out the rucks, which is not part of their game plan, which I understand. It's Fijian loose type, kind of sevens type rugby. But man, if they can just bring that into their game, if they can get a coach to get them to just get the forwards, get some good loose forwards, to actually clean out and create rucks, run those great lines, but then if you take the contact, place, create a ruck, clean out and play next phase, they could be so much more dangerous. I mean, carries over the game line, 89 versus 47. Passes, 171 versus 108. I mean, defenders beaten, 34 versus 23. I mean, Wales did have their times where they had some runs. Offloads, similar, 9 each. That's the one thing that Wales did well when they had ball. When they had ball in hand, they were very good with their little offloads. They're kind of running from each other's shoulders and just getting those little passes off. They did do that well, and for the most part scored tries from those moves. Because you had these big men defending, you know, that was the only way to kind of get through, get into the tackle, free out your arms, and get that ball out. And that's one of the things that the Fijians should focus on, is to kind of tackle the players with the ball, try and smother the ball, because they were just allowing Wales too often to get the offload out. A lot more rucks won by the Fijians for the most part, but that's where the forwards are with them. The problem is when they have the line breaks, usually around Nayasilevu and Radradra, when they make those breaks and they run away from their, you know, support, often, you know, they're just isolated, throwing balls around, trying to get offloads. That's just the type of thing that they need to get a little bit more structured, because, man, this Fijian side can be dangerous if a few things can just be changed in this team. And I hope somewhere in the future, it's not that their current coach is not great, but if you can get a first-tier team, well, we can no longer say Fiji's actually second tier, but let's just say one of the big teams, ex-coaches, a really good coach, can take this Fijian team, they could be outstanding. If they just get their, you know, kind of like clean outs going and that part of the game a little bit better. Kicks out of hand, this is where the Welsh kept themselves in the game, and this is what I said, guys, when I predicted the game. I said the challenge is always going to be Dan Biggar He was influential. 24 kicks out of hand versus 17 from the Fijians. And meters won, you can see it's almost double. And that's what kept them in the game. And I always knew that if Wales are going to play this game, they're gonna kick, they would play the kicking type game, and they certainly did. Kicks regathered, Fiji actually regathering more than what Wales did. Kicks in touch, very similar, 11-13. Kicks charged down, won by Wales. Then set pieces won. We see very similar between the two teams. Both teams losing some of their scrums. Fiji on a 70% and Wales on a 75%, very even. Lineouts, there you see only one loss by each team. Again, very similar. Both teams were, pretty competitive at set piece. It didn't look too bad. Now here, always guys, this is what's crazy. Usually, games are won by the team that gives away the most penalties. I mean, the discipline from Wales was so poor. Especially that last quarter of the game. They were giving away penalties galore. It was just penalty after penalty. It was 17 versus 9. And you gotta feel that Fiji was very unlucky that they didn't win this game. All the stats showed that they should have won this game. Yellow cards, 1 each. Tackles made. You see how many tackles that Wales have to make. 253 versus just 70 from Fiji. Man, that is crazy. Then success rate in the tackles. Tackles missed 34. Fiji only 23% versus only a 64% for Wales. Turnovers won in their own half. We see there Wales won more turnovers than the Fijians. But this is why the Fijians stayed in this game. They were able to get turnovers in the opposition half, which is very good. It's a very good sign for a team if they can be winning turnovers in the opposition half. And that's why they were able to stay in this game, because they were competitive in the opposing side, in the opposition side. Look, man, from a rugby point of view, it was lovely to watch. It was very sad to see Fiji just lose. My prediction was Wales by 3. And like I said to you guys, I always knew it was going to be a close game. But with the likes of Gatland as the coach, and a lot of experienced guys that's playing Six Nations every year, in and out, very competitive. They just have this ability to know how to keep themselves in games and close out games and somehow win a game when they were not the best team on the field. And that's clearly what happened here today. Wales were not the better team on the field, but they used their opportunities better and they were able to keep themselves in this game and eventually win it. Well done to Wales. What I'll say to Fiji fans, don't get disheartened. Just look at the statistics I just shown you. This team is going places and they will learn from this experience. They will learn. It's probably one of their toughest games they've ever had to play. They were so competitive and they will just grow from this. And I see this team in the future, in this World Cup, they definitely have a shot still. They can beat Australia on the day. They can beat Georgia, definitely. And they could have that outsider chance. If they beat Australia, they're in, So, there's definitely, and then, there's still Australia versus Wales, which is another thing, So, say Wales beat Australia, So, there's a lot of opportunities still here for them. What I will say, though, in the future, this team can be really good with the right coaching. Guys, if you enjoyed my reaction to this video, please give me a thumbs up, but more importantly, hit that subscribe button. I work hard for these videos, and all I'm asking from you guys, show me the support. I will appear on your homepage so you know every time when the next video comes out. I'll be right to the World Cup. Thank you. Bye.